do you want from me? I'm just blood and flesh and bones. I'm not an answer.
Welcome to Mildly Entertaining at UNCW, the show where the Office of Military Affairs keeps you mildly entertained and more or less up to date on what's going on at UNCW. Your hosts are Joanna DeMott, the Military Liaison and Program Coordinator, and Melanie Nelson, the Military Student Services Specialist. Joanna, how are you today?
I'm great. I am always great, and I will maintain my greatness. How are you today, Melanie?
Likewise, great.
That's fantastic. We have some pretty interesting guests today. We have Hew and Lois Wolfe. Hew is a veteran, and Lois is a retired teacher. Most importantly, for our purposes, they are huge supporters of UNCW's Office of Military Affairs and all around fantastic people. How are you guys today?
Good.
We're wonderful, thanks. As I typically say, we're just peachy.
Just peachy. I love it.
Yeah.
So as retirees, how has your life changed? I know you maintain a really high level of activity normally, but has your life changed significantly since mid-March when all this COVID stuff hit?
From my perspective, and I think maybe Lois will verify this, no, it hasn't changed. We still are very actively involved with everything that we were before, except for face-to-face there at UNCW. We're still very active in our church, and we're still very active in the community. And 3 days a week we have water aerobics. So no, it's not changed. And I would say we really don't try to avoid people either. So we put our mask on and just go about our business. Even though the mask is only good to keep from spitting on people, that's about all it's good for.
Excellent. Any additions, Lois? Anything else? Have you had any changes in your life, or are you just trucking along?
We're just moving along, doing what we can for people. If anyone needs help, we try to be there. But doing a lot of sewing, but making a lot of masks for you all and for friends and for family.
And that's a big change, right? Before this, you wouldn't have been making these masks, and you made over 50 for our students, and they were all handed out really quickly. Very popular camouflage masks, and we are so appreciative of all of your efforts to do that. So now other military affiliated students can see each other on campus right away.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that it helps them get together and to recognize each other.
Absolutely. Melanie has some extra fun questions for you coming up.
Some very fun questions indeed. One thing that we like to ask everybody who comes on the show is, what are you snacking on these days? You say life hasn't changed too much. Have your snacking habits changed at all? What do you normally snack on? What are you snacking on these days?
Actually, we're not big snackers. We do predominantly 3 meals a day. In the evening, we may have a couple of cookies and a cup of coffee, but other than that, we don't usually snack.
No, we're planners. Lois can show you, we have a calendar, and there's a planned meal for every dinner. And she has an inventory of what she has in the refrigerator and the freezer, so we know what we have available. And for breakfast, we have, I'm the maker of breakfast and lunch while she's still snoozing. I'm up early. And we have a half an orange, half an apple, half a banana. And then 3 days a week, we have something with eggs. And then the other 3 days a week, we have cereal, or say cinnamon toast and peanut butter. And on Sunday, we always have oatmeal before church. So keeps you regular, but that's okay. But no, we're not big snackers, never have been. For 50 years, we just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary on Saturday, this past Saturday.
Congratulations. 50 years of no snacking. I'm not sure that my marriage would last, but I'm really glad to hear that yours has lasted through 50 years of not snacking together.
Yeah, that's correct.
Lois, you look like you wanted to add something to that.
Oh, I guess it started back when we were in college and didn't have a whole lot of money, so we spent it on meals and not snacks.
You know, I may need to like save a clip of this interview to share with my students later today because I think we're going to be talking about budgeting soon, and they might need to know a little bit more about this. If you don't spend money on snack foods, you can invest in healthier meal options throughout the day. Interesting idea.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm going to use you as an academic resource, so thank you for sharing that. And actually, you've segued us nicely into our next topic, which is that I want to know more about your college experience from both and either of your perspectives, just in general. What can you tell me about college?
College, well, it would have started for me back in 1965 out of high school. However, the opportunity didn't avail itself, so it resulted in the military. But it's enlisted. I was in Vietnam for 22 months, and then at 1968, I came back and enrolled in East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. And that's a whole different story. That's probably a 2 or 3 hour conversation, if not longer. And then our sophomore year is when I met this young lady, and it changed my life for the better. And I started out in pre-med and ended up not graduating in pre-med, but that's another story too. So I'll let Lois go from there.
Okay, we got married before our junior year. At that point, the GI Bill was not very big.
How about $105 a month? That's all.
Okay. We just need to bookmark this part of the conversation too, so that when I have students telling me that they can't afford textbooks and things, $105 a month, that would not get you very far. I can see why you weren't snacking.
Well, I work full time, went to school full time, and so
I worked 3 days a week and went to school 3 days a week. This was back on the quarter hours, so we were both carrying 15 to 18 quarter hours. And it was tough. We had Sundays together, and that was about it.
Well, talking about the budgeting piece, we graduated with 0 debt, and both of us did quite well after we settled down and didn't have to worry about going out and running around. But yes, college in itself was a life changer, and believe it or not, I've actually gone back to East Tennessee State last fall as a keynote speaker to celebrate their 50th anniversary for their program. And then I went back again in December as the keynote for the graduating ROTC cadets and commissioned them as second lieutenants. So I get to tell that story about college and how that college and program affected my military career as well as our life. So
that is really cool. It kind of comes full circle. We've been hearing that from a lot of people, that their alma mater comes to play another role later on in their life. It's so interesting how that happens. So Lois, what did you do after graduation?
Followed him. He came back in the military, and we went numerous places. I did some substitute teaching. I ran the YMCA in Hampton, the children's athletic program. Yeah.
Well, her college degree was health ed, phys ed. So she fit right into anywhere we moved in the military. She was working as the athletic director for the local gym or the YMCA or YWCA.
Yeah. Just stayed busy, raised 2 kids. He was gone a lot. So yeah, I had 2 boys. They kept me busy, coached some soccer, at one point when he was transferred, and we decided the boys and I would stay where we were until school year ended, and then we moved. So I took over his soccer team. Just managed to stay very busy.
And she mentioned to me the military. Well, in 1971, I had no plans on coming back in the military. And the Army came down to East Tennessee State University as well as University of Texas, and that's where I acquired my master's degree from. But they were short of preventive medicine types, public health types. So they came down to the University of Texas and East Tennessee State recruiting young officers, young people to come in as second lieutenants, first lieutenants, or captains, depending upon your degree and your whether you're undergraduate, graduate, or postgraduate. And then they took our graduating class of 13 people in public health and brought us in as second lieutenants and medical service corps officers. And then the rest of that was spent 30 years in the Army. But our first assignment, or for her first airplane ride and her first time out of the country, was to Germany. So
That was a bit of an experience.
and I'll stop there. So I don't know what your next question is.
Well, that was kind of it, was how did the transition from college back into the military and into the military family life go? It's so funny, Lois, that you started by saying, well, I followed him. But we know the story didn't end there. We know you weren't just a camp follower, right? And I think too, it's fascinating to me when I hear that people were sort of reluctant to go back into the military, or they were reluctant to get started with it to begin with. And they're like, well, I just did it because of this. And then 30 years later, I woke up and said, oops, I'm retiring from the military. I mean, we know there's more to the story, but I just think it's so interesting how many people have kind of that unconventional career path, or what we would see as an unconventional career path now based on the way the military functions now. So. Yeah. Thanks for leading right into that. You're making my job as a host real easy today. I think I'm going to hand you back over to Joanna, though, because I know she's got some ideas sparking based on some of the things that you've said.
Absolutely. Lois, you and I have a lot in common. We have so much in common. I was a camp follower, and our first duty station was Okinawa, Japan. So I get that. Welcome. Goodwill Foreign Country. I love it. I love it so much.
Oh, yeah. The foreign country was interesting. Matter of fact, in Germany, we moved 5 times in 18 months.
Bless you. We moved here from Germany, but Germany's a lot different now than it was then. There are a lot fewer places for you to be stationed in Germany, so you wouldn't be able to move around quite that much anymore. Definitely different.
Yeah.
But still the same experience, going to that foreign country, different language, try to learn it. It's great.
And do the best you can stumbling with it.
What I'm impressed with is after all the time and, the 30 years you put in, Hugh, the 30 years of all the different career paths that we explore while we're a trailing spouse, you still spend so much time and effort making sure that our military affiliated students, military community, and the community you live in is a wonderful place to be, and do your best to do that. And that's huge.
Yes, if I might just add, it's all mental, it's all attitude. And in our example, she grew up the right way in the military. And what I mean by that, most people, when they go and say the husband or the wife become the active duty member of the military, the opposite person, the spouse, husband, or wife, becomes I refer to them as a house rat. They don't want to be social. They don't want to get involved in anything. Leave me alone. I'm here because my husband or my wife is here. So it's just the opposite with us, because Second Lieutenant Wolfe goes into the 3rd Armored Division in Germany, and I'm the only second lieutenant in the division headquarters. So that meant Lois was the only second lieutenant's wife in the 3rd Armored Division headquarters. And we were so fortunate that we had general officers and their wives who were just wonderful because they adopted both of us. And we went where they went. I mean, I'd go home at night and Lois wouldn't be at home. So there'd be a note on the table, I've gone to Grafenwehr to the leather factory with General Burton's wife. Well, guess what? I didn't have to worry about it because second lieutenants don't make a lot of money, or they didn't. So we would just have fun, and that's what we did. And then we also made a point of, and again, that's what I meant about her growing up the right way in the military, because that way she learned and I learned to take care of people, take care of others, and that's how you do that. And I'd make sure that my enlisted and my officers, as well as Lois with the spouses, didn't become barracks rats or house rats. They became socially involved with the local community as well, and not just in Germany, but wherever we moved. And, you know, she would get involved with the Officers' Wives Club or whatever else and make sure that the other people that were around us became involved as well. You know, either dragging them, you know, screaming and hollering, or voluntarily. So anyway.
And I think when you're stationed overseas, your friends become your family. And if your friends don't become your family, then you don't have a family. So that's very important. And I'm sure that you paid it right back as he progressed in ranks by sponsoring and mentoring some younger spouses.
Yes, ma'am. We did. We took care of them. I started to look at them as my age increased and theirs decreased as children.
But, you know, we did things, I'm the type of person, if I can't do something right, I won't do it. So we did it overboard. If you were our sponsoree, the day you signed in or your spouse signed into the unit and you reported to you would have a key to your house, especially government quarters. Your refrigerator would be stocked. You wouldn't have to worry about, and if you needed government furniture, I'm speaking overseas again, your house would be furnished. Your apartment would be furnished. You wouldn't have to. Did that deliberately because it was not done to us. But as a matter of fact, we did not, and people that have been in the military will understand concurrent travel. In other words, if you have overseas orders and you have a good sponsor on the other end, they can make sure that the orders read, you will travel together concurrently. Well, Lois ended up, because we didn't have a good sponsor, she wasn't able to join me in Germany for almost 3 months. And then finally we got her over there, but still, we made sure that didn't happen to any of our sponsorees.
And you're doing that now as you sponsor these military affiliated students at UNCW, and you help everyone at your church. I know that the dog blankets that you make, Lois, and your guys, when we can have visitors, our students are always very pleased to see you, and we are always so happy to have you at events and showing your support. And I think that you are both a huge part of what makes our community at UNCW so cohesive.
Well, we thoroughly enjoy that as well. I still want to mentor people. That's just me. And I try to do that at the UNCW, but also at Cape Fear Community College and Brunswick County Community College. And I still mentor 2 small businesses in Northern Virginia, a female minority business and a Native American business. And we have a conference call every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Sorry, Lois reminded me. 9 o'clock.
We go swimming at 10.
And basically, and I hate to use this term, but they're sucking my brain. That's all they want to do. They want to know, and I try to provide the best advice that I can. So we still try to give back, because I had some really good mentors after I finally they decided they were going to keep me in the Army. I wasn't sure I was going to make it past captain, having been enlisted in Vietnam for 22 months. And I wasn't a yes person. So I told them, they asked me a question, I told them the truth, and I told it right in their face. And so I had to make it past captain. And then I said, I think maybe they're going to keep me. So anyway, I just kept that after the 30 years active duty military, and then another 10, because I had 5 years, 6 years, I guess, in the inactive reserve from my Vietnam era. And then I had 10 years as a Department of the Army civilian. And that was a whole different world, of course, but that spent 10 years in the Pentagon. But yeah, I'll be quiet and let you ask your questions.
10 years in the Pentagon. That's I grew up in Northern Virginia, so that's my wheelhouse up there. So bless you for the 10 years of service in that weirdly shaped building. I'm sure that the Army appreciated all of your service, but we're glad to have you in Wilmington. We're glad that you left Northern Virginia. I personally am super happy not to be living there anymore. I don't know how you guys feel, but I love this area.
I'm relieved that I don't have to look at Interstate 95.
So we live down in Stafford County. So for 26 years, I drove 95 twice a day. My day started at 3:30 in the morning, and I was on 95 by at least 5 o'clock, so I could be in at the Pentagon by 6, so I could work out for an hour before I started to work at 7. And so that's continued today. I still get up early, and I do some stretches and some military push-ups and sit-ups and all that other stuff. But then 3 days a week, we actually get involved in water aerobics. And then when the gym reopens, we'll be back at the gym. So anyway, we were just short of Quantico. We were down in Stafford, and that was by choice, I guess. I probably would have preferred to still be up there. I miss that way of life. I miss all of the intervention involvement, and but Lois doesn't. Yeah, we were very active at Quantico and at the church, as well as with the Wounded Warrior program. So
Yeah, I was 6 miles from my school and I didn't have to get on 95.
Nice. That's huge. I grew up in Woodbridge, so
Oh,
yeah,
up the street.
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to drive on 95 again either. I drove into Tyson's Corner for a while with an hour and a half each way. So no, thank you. I'm happy. I'm happy here. I'm glad that you guys are here. Let's not tell our friends though. We don't need everybody coming down.
No. We keep it quiet.
That's right. I'm so happy that we got to chat and I got to learn a little bit more about you and everything that you're doing for the community and all the fun ways you stay active. We really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad we could do this. This was nice.
You know, I think I'm going to go ahead and say that Hew is probably one of the original influencers, right? Like today we talk about Instagram influencers, but he was an influencer up in Northern Virginia and was like a cog in the wheel of the mighty machine and the whole thing. So yeah, we're delighted to have you down here, and we will exploit your presence here for as long as you'll allow us to. And I mean that in the best possible sense. So thank you again for coming on today. You are truly one of the best friends to the Office of Military Affairs in the area, and we are honored to call you our friends. And this has been an episode of Mildly Entertaining at UNCW, and we will see you on the internet. Thank you for listening to Mildly Entertaining. Our intro music comes from the band Blue Turnip and their song, What Do You Want From Me? You can find their EP, Songs from the Root Cellar, on Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon, and Spotify. For more information, you can go to blueturnipmusic.com.